This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. As was expected, Joe Biden is performing presidentially. He's acting as a president should. He is comporting himself just as a president, or in the past, we would expect a president to act prior to Donald Trump. He is acting gracious in victory. He is even extending the olive branch to the other side. He has made two speeches, one on Friday night while the results were still pending. We didn't know who would be the next president. We had a good idea about it, but we didn't know. And then on Saturday evening after it was called, the networks called their projections with their statisticians, when it was beyond any chance that Donald Trump could come back, the race was called. It's not legally binding, of course, but it is certainly a mathematical impossibility that Donald Trump is going to be the next president of the United States relative to the votes. Not talking about any kind of court chicanery that Donald Trump tries to enter into. But I want to talk about Joe Biden's response and what he is expecting from Republicans. Republicans who have spent 8 years of Obama's administration questioning whether he was an American citizen. Republicans who, over the course of the last 4 years, have propped up and enabled a white supremacist, a fascist, who are now, even as we speak, tearing at the pillars of our democracy. He's offering these people an olive branch. There's some expectation that things are going to go back to normal. Noble, but I believe naive. Anyway, let's talk about first briefly his Friday speech and what he said there.
In America, we hold strong views. We have strong disagreements, and that's okay. Strong disagreements are inevitable in a democracy, and strong disagreements are healthy. They're a sign of a vigorous debate, of deeply held views. But we have to remember, the purpose of our politics isn't total, unrelenting, unending warfare. No, the purpose of our politics, the work of the nation, isn't to fan the flames of conflict, but to solve problems, to guarantee justice, to give everybody a fair shot, and to improve the lives of our people. We may be opponents, but we're not enemies. We're Americans. And no matter who you voted for, I'm certain of one thing. The vast majority of the almost 150 million Americans who voted, they want to get the vitriol out of our politics. We're certainly not going to agree on a lot of issues, but at least we can agree to be civil with one another.
And that is what I'm talking about. Noble, maybe a little naive. It's not a criticism per se, at least not a harsh one, of Joe Biden. I get where he's coming from. He's the president-elect of these United States, soon to be president of the United States. He wants a clarion call of unity for everyone, maybe to cajole some Republicans to do the right thing. We're not seeing that yet, and I'm going to get to that very shortly. But he says we're not enemies. Let me tell you, if you are acting in earnest against the interest of our democracy, our very democracy, you are my enemy. It's not just a disagreement or a debate. The debate is over. A democratic way of running a country is the way to do it. And if you're going to delegitimize our democratic institutions, our democratic norms, and our very democratic way of choosing our elected leaders, you are an enemy. Not just of mine, but of these United States of America. So the olive branch, a little naive. Now, after it was projected that Joe Biden would win the election, or had won the election, pardon me, he gave another speech, his victory speech. And in it, he reiterated some of these same ideas. Here it is.
For all those of you who voted for President Trump, I understand the disappointment tonight. I've lost a couple times myself, but now let's give each other a chance. It's time to put away the harsh rhetoric, lower the temperature, see each other again, listen to each other again. And to make progress, we have to stop treating our opponents as our enemies. They are not our enemies. They are Americans. They're Americans.
I maintain the same things I said after the first clip. Mitch McConnell is our enemy. The leaders of the Republican Party are our enemies. Maybe not every Trump voter, although they certainly don't have a problem with white supremacy, with a fascist rule in the United States. They don't have a problem with gassing peaceful protesters a block away from the White House. They don't got a problem with that. They don't have a problem with armed agents of the state brutally killing disproportionately black and brown Americans, primarily black Americans. Unarmed. Not charged with the crime. Summary execution in the streets by rabid, frothing at the mouth vigilante cops. Enemy? Maybe so. So back to the Republican leaders. Because he is extending the olive branch right now to giving Trump, the Republican leadership, time to salve their wounds, to heal, to get their brains around their loss. In some effort to have them come around and go back to the olden days when we could all debate and vigorously disagree and then go out for a beer later. And what have they done in direct answer to this call for unity? Well, the New York Times, this headline, Republicans back Trump's refusal to concede, declining to recognize Biden. Republicans who are in leadership of the Republican Party, are still lapping at Donald Trump's boots, making sure they are as shiny as they can be, getting their tongues all over the boots. Still, Donald Trump now only weeks left in his presidency, and they are fawning with praise and adulation because the emperor doesn't accept the decision. Here's Mitch McConnell on the floor of the United States Senate not admitting to Joe Biden's victory.
If any major irregularities occurred this time of a magnitude that would affect the outcome, then every single American should want them to be brought to light. And if Democrats feel confident they have not occurred, they should have no reason to fear any extra scrutiny. In the United States of America, all legal ballots must be counted. Any illegal ballots must not be counted. The process should be transparent or observable by all sides, and the courts are here to work through concerns. Our institutions are actually built for this. We have the system in place to consider concerns, and President Trump is 100% within his rights to look into allegations of irregularities and weigh his legal options. Now, more broadly, Mr. President, let's not have any lectures, no lectures about how the president should immediately, cheerfully accept preliminary election results from the same characters who just spent 4 years refusing to accept the validity of the last election. This process will reach its resolution. Our system will resolve any recounts or litigation. In January, the winner of this election will place his hand on a Bible, just like it happened every 4 years since 1793.
Mitch McConnell has a taste for boots. Nom, 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 nom. And this line about no lectures from the same characters who spent 4 years questioning the validity of the past election. I don't know who questioned it for 4 years. There was certainly criticism and critique of the fact that Donald Trump lost the popular vote by 3 million to Hillary Clinton. That's not questioning the validity. We understand our stupid system in this country, our anti-democratic electoral college system. We get it. Not questioning the legal validity, jackhole. But what Mitch McConnell is doing here is, one, he has gleefully accepted the results of new Republican members of Congress, both in the House and the Senate. He's accepted those results. The results that came on the very same ballots that Donald Trump's name was on. They're not fraudulent, but apparently there's credence to the unsubstantiated claims that are given without evidence that there was some kind of voter fraud, election rigging. This is undermining the pillars of our democracy. Those are the actions and the words and the statements and the beliefs of an enemy of the country. And it goes further. Bill Barr right now is unleashing his prosecutors all across the country to look into these unsubstantiated claims. Donald Trump's General Services Administration administrator is now withholding monies and resources that would smoothly enable a peaceful transfer of power, a transition of power between the two men, from one government to the next. Reading from the Washington Post, this article, a little-known Trump appointee is in charge of handing transition resources to Biden, and she isn't budging. The administrator of the General Services Administration, the low-profile agency in charge of federal buildings, has a little-known role when a new president is elected, to sign paperwork officially turning over millions of dollars, as well as give access to government officials, office space in agencies, and equipment authorized for the taxpayer-funded transition teams of the winner. The delay has implications both practical and symbolic. By declaring the apparent winner of a presidential election, the GSA administrator releases computer systems and money for salaries and administrative support for the mammoth undertaking of setting up a new government. $9.9 million this year. Transition officials get government email addresses. They get office space at every federal agency. They can begin to work with the Office of Government Ethics to process financial disclosure and conflict of interest forms for their nominees. And they get access to senior officials, both political appointees of the outgoing administration and career civil servants, who relay an agency's ongoing priorities and projects, upcoming deadlines, problem areas, and risks. The federal government is a $4.5 trillion operation, and while the Biden team is not new to government, the access is critical, experts say. This is all on hold for now. The other thing that Donald Trump is going to try to put his greasy hands on to delay are background checks for incoming administration officials, both cabinet level and below, which is going to put the Biden administration at a disadvantage. This is not accepting and not allowing a peaceful transfer of power, a functional transfer of power. This is damaging America because he will not accept the legal, lawful, free and fair election results. And back to Mitch McConnell's comment about the other side. Let's not hear arguments from the other side or lectures from the other side, he said. The Daily Show, doing good work over there at The Daily Show. The Daily Show put together this little, very brief montage of Republicans, the same Republicans who are crying foul right now. It is a beautiful thing. Watch this.
Democrats are being sore losers. They refuse to acknowledge they lost the election, so what do? They cry malfeasance, wrongdoing, criminality, fraud.
Democrats, more so than Republicans, seem to have a problem conceding defeat. Either the election system broke down or some mystery votes are hiding somewhere.
You have a whole series of Democrats who've just said bluntly, if our candidate doesn't win, they stole the election.
The Dems just want to make America suffer. It's like losing the World Series and demanding an extra inning a day later.
The Democrats are refusing to accept the declared results of the national media. So how do they do this? Lo and behold, they find missing ballots.
The radical left is attacking the sanctity of our votes,
refusing to accept the midterm election results. So what if these were Republicans refusing to concede?
Democrats may see how they'll be able in the future to steal elections through lawsuits that they can't win with the voters.
Ramping up election conspiracy theories, accusing Republicans of outright stealing the election. Kind of rich. You know what? Sounds sore loserish.
You see, this isn't about deeply held beliefs. This isn't about love of country. This is about holding on to power by whatever means necessary, even if it means denigrating and calling into question our very democracy. So no, I'm not going to be extending an olive branch for those who propped up a white supremacist, fascist regime for 4 years. I'm not going to forgive or forget. It's not by accident that these people did what they did in supporting Donald Trump. Still supporting Donald Trump while he's on the way out the door. Listen, it could be argued that they just did it while he was in office to maintain power. He's on his way out the door now, and they're still worshiping at the throne of the emperor with no clothes. The time has come for the real Republicans and what they really believe to shine. And it's shining. They are still bootlicking sycophants of a lame duck outgoing president. The time has passed for us to believe that they didn't really believe or buy into Donald Trump and the way he does things. Because it's clear they do. Anyway, I would love to know what you think. 714-576-4054. Email me daily@dollemore.com. I'd love to know your opinion on this. I would also encourage you to consider supporting my work here on YouTube. For fewer than $2 a month, you can become a channel member. Click the join button below the video there. $2 from, if I'm able to marshal the size of my audience, I just passed 250,000 subscribers. Thank you. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Give me a chance. But if I'm able to marshal the size of my audience, get 2% or so to become channel members, I would be completely unencumbered and untethered by YouTube's arbitrary monetization policies and all the other nonsense that happens. I'd appreciate you considering it. You can also buy some merch. I've got shirts that say "Be genuine" and "Take care of one another." Those just came out. They're pretty great. I got a couple samples of them, and I like them a lot. Anyway, things are gonna work out. Things are moving forward as they should. Well, a little slower than they should. But progress in democracy isn't going to be stopped. Keep your chin up. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.